in the summer of 2020. Prison buses carrying 121 incarcerated passengers arrived at San Quentin from a prison in Chino, California. The passengers aboard these buses were showing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Within weeks, more than 2,000 San Quentin residents contracted the virus. Prison medical facilities were overwhelmed, and dozens had to be rushed to outside hospitals. Incarcerated deaths were being reported on almost a daily basis. It was one of the worst epidemiological disasters in prison history. But for those who survived, it was a time for healing. On November 5th, 2021, the San Quentin community of the incarcerated and the free assembled together to mourn the loss of those who died. It was a celebration of life, love, and community.
So on this day, from this prison yard, behind these walls of separation, let us come together and show the world what we know all too well: we are better together. Let us speak to the world of our pain, grief, and loss collectively as humans. But most importantly, let us set our resolve to move forward together in celebration of life, love, and community.
Residents and volunteers carried photos of the dead as they walked a lap in silence. Two resident violinists played taps to honor the official number, 29 dead, including one correctional officer. But today was not simply a day to remember the residents of San Quentin. 27 bells rang to recognize the 240 incarcerated lives lost throughout California, the 2,700 lost across the country, and the infinite number of lives lost throughout the world.
Our blood.
Spiritual leaders came forth to speak words of comfort, remembrance, and encouragement.
We are all related here. We've all lost someone. Most of those brothers that passed, I knew them in the row. Not forget them. We don't leave no one behind.
The reality of death is something that sometimes weighs us down if we deny it. So one thing is that we ask God today, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask God to grant us that camaraderie.
Various speakers stepped forward to share words of wisdom, poetry, and healing.
Now that's saying something.
Friends spoke highly of the dearly departed, and some even read letters from the family members of those that were lost.
He died the same way he lived, with joy and courage, while giving. He gave to the end, the same way Jesus, Yeshua, was concerned for his mother Mary and friend, John, while being tortured. He was too glad, too good for this place.
I'm here speaking today as a volunteer for a national effort to memorialize people who we're losing behind bars. We are a project called Mourning Our Losses, and some of the organizers of this event are key volunteers in this project: Juan Haynes, Brian Acey, Vincent O'Bannon. During the pandemic, they hooked up with others of us on the outside to submit memorials about people here to a memorial site that is national, that is collecting memorials from all over the United States.
We lost a lot of people here, literal lives. A number of the people that we lost, I had known for decades. And I think one of the things that was so hard about this past year was people just disappeared, and there wasn't really a way to get to say goodbye to them. And so I feel like today is our day to be able to do that. I know we go forward and we hold them in our hearts, and we're not going to forget them.
We've made so many changes in our lives to do better in society. It is my hope that everyone inside who knew him, and so many others who did not, commit to devoting efforts to improve themselves.
Eric spoke highly of his many friends. The relationships he made were very important to him. As his brother, I know that it meant everything to him.
When a friend or loved one dies, we often take comfort in the ways with which we remember them, holding memorial services, saying their name aloud, looking at photographs, watching old home movies, telling stories about the good times and the bad. I believe the reason we do this, though, is not just because it allows for moments of consolation, but also because we all play such integral roles in each other's lives.
I recently lost someone very close to me, and in the process, I learned from a friend that in the Jewish tradition, when someone passes, people say to their loved ones, "May their memory be a blessing." This struck me as a particularly wise and poignant response to death, accepting of its realities, and also offering a way forward for the living.
There were musical performances, comedy, and laughter to help celebrate their lives. And one of the performers even thanked all the medical staff and volunteers for their tremendous support in San Quentin's time of mourning.
Hey, we just want to send ours to the people that came out and helped us during this pandemic, all the nurses and doctors that stayed overtime. We recognize y'all work. Mount Tamalpais Pub, we recognize. Thank you for the packages we got during the quarantine. And thank you all for the opportunity.
As Ear Hustle's Antoine Williams finished off the memorial with the performance, it was the culmination of a message that declared that the people who died at San Quentin were not animals or monsters. They were not simply names or numbers, but they were human beings.
Because I never really felt like somebody till somebody told me that I can be somebody. Now I'm somebody who just want to tell somebody that you somebody to me.